I'm here now to talk some history with you. Folks, as you know, social media censorship is growing. The best way to support our video work for Israel is to subscribe to our video newsletter on pulseofisrael.com and to share our videos. If you are already a subscriber, then thank you. 2 additional ways to connect with and support Israel, they are so simple. 1, click on this link to help us strengthen Israel by strengthening Judea and Samaria. It's simple, everybody. Just click on the website and choose the best option that works for you to strengthen Judea and Samaria. And number 2, enjoy the beauty of Israel whenever you want. No matter where you are in the world, you can enjoy our online virtual tours of Israel. Just visit israelisbeautiful.com and choose the virtual video and activity package that works for you. Hey everybody, welcome to Jerusalem. We have another video out in the streets. I'm standing here right outside the new gate of the old city of Jerusalem. See, it's called the new gate. I'm here now to talk some history with you. All right, love history, folks. I love Jewish history. I love Israel history, Jerusalem history. So I wanted to share something with you. Like I told you before, this is the new gate. It's called the new gate of the old city of Jerusalem. All right, and we'll walk. I'm not going to walk in it right now. Just walk past it. Right, it's right behind me. Wait, here we go. The new gate. Now, when people usually think about the 1967 Six-Day War. Oh, I wanted to show you this before I left, right? When people usually think about that, the stories, the fabulous, miraculous stories about the IDF conquering or liberating the old city of Jerusalem focuses upon the paratroopers, the tzanchanim, right? Anyone who learns the story of the IDF liberating the old city of Jerusalem, it was the paratroopers who liberated the old city. They're the ones who freed the old city, who ran across the Temple Mount, who put up the Israeli flag on the Temple Mount. Then they ran down to the Western Wall, which is actually very wrong because it shows you the misunderstanding of the time. Still many Jews today, it's the Temple Mount that is the most holy place, not the Western Wall. The Western Wall is just a retaining wall of the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is the holiest place. That's where the temple stood. And it's actually a law in Jewish law that it is forbidden to walk across the Temple Mount to go somewhere else, right? Because you can't use the holiest place as just not giving it its due holiness. You can't walk through the holy place. You have to treat the holy place with holiness, right? And if you look back at the history and understand what happened when the paratroopers liberated the old city of Jerusalem, they first entered from the Lion's Gate, walked or ran across the Temple Mount, so they'll go down. Here, enjoy the light rail right behind me. Beautiful Jerusalem, right? To then go down to the Western Wall, because unfortunately so many Jews are misinformed and miseducated that it's the Western Wall that's holy. No, it's the Temple Mount on top that's holy. The Western Wall was only given a place of holiness because it was forbidden for Jews for hundreds of years to go to the Temple Mount, so the closest they could go was the Western Wall. All right, so again, the story is that it's the paratroopers who liberated the old city of Jerusalem. Then we come to this new gate, because there is a sign up there. Okay, where's the sign there? You see the sign up there? Where is it? Over there? That sign says that this new gate, right, I'm reading it, this new gate was broken through by the combat engineering unit in July 1967. All right, very interesting. What happened? Because the official story in the history books, I'm going to walk away now, is that it's the paratroopers that liberated the old city of Jerusalem. Well, the Combat Engineering Corps, who had a key part in the successful liberation of the old city, they felt, hey, wait a second, where's our part in the history books? Where's our part in the fight of liberating Jerusalem? So what did they get? So they fought. The Combat Engineering Corps of the IDF fought to get a recognition for their part in the war, and they got that little plaque. They got that little plaque that recognizes that it was the Combat Engineering Corps, Handasa Kravit, that broke through the New Gate as part of the struggle, the fight, the battle to liberate the old city of Jerusalem in 1967. This is just like a little piece, a little hint that even those of us who study history and enjoy history, how much we really don't know, even when we learn the history books. Because we all know, or the famous line is, and here guys, enjoy the old city of Jerusalem behind me, it's the victors who write the victory, who write the history books. So there are a couple different levels to that level of who the victor is. On the one hand, it's the victor of a war, right? The good and bad who fought the war. So the ones who won the war, they write the book. So you hear their side of the story. Any war, right? And on the other hand, it's also the different units who fought. Well, the ones who were most active, or who the ones part of the biggest country, or I don't know what, they're the ones that write their stories from their perspective. So I'll give you another example. This was the example here. The story of the liberation of the old city of Jerusalem was given over to the paratroopers, even though the engineering corps had a part, just wasn't written down. Also, if you think about World War II, right? You think about the Allies' defeat of the Nazis. Well, I grew up in America. I watched American movies. I studied history in the American history books. Well, that's all from the perspective of the Americans, right? I never learned anything about the perspective of the Russians, right? They also won the war. Forget about the perspective of the Nazis and how they saw how things happened. But we all know the story from the American perspective, because we're Americans. The Americans wrote the history books, made the movies. Very few of us actually know the Russian perspective on their part in the war in beating the Nazis. Again, I'm just giving that as a perspective that no matter how much we think we know, even when we learn history and we're experts in history, there is so much, oh, again, the beautiful light rail passing by me. There is so much we still don't know, because it all depends on who wrote the history books, what their perspective was. Again, you go back to Roman times, even the Roman destruction of the Second Temple period. Well, thankfully, we do have a Jew turned Roman, Josephus, who wrote the history based on his perspective. So he does give over some Jewish perspective. Without that, we would have only had the total Roman perspective. But we don't know how much he became more Roman than Jewish in terms of how much to really trust what he writes. And even if you can't trust everything he writes, there's still so much he wasn't able to give over to us that maybe he didn't know. And bottom line, even when we study history, there is so much we don't know, so many details, and it all depends on who's writing the history book. So I hope you enjoyed that little piece of information, of seeing that place where to learn a little more about Israel's miraculous six-day war when we liberated Jerusalem, liberated the old city of Jerusalem, liberated the Temple Mount, and finally unified our eternal and undivided city to be unified once again after the aberration of 19 years when it was divided. People today, and again, you know me folks, I don't trust the media, I don't trust journalists who don't do their history and who just put out propaganda, and anti-Israel propaganda especially. But anyone who calls Israel a divided city, and they're supposed to be that naturally it's supposed to be a Arab East Jerusalem and Jewish West Jerusalem, well, they are totally ignorant, to put it lightly, or they're total blatant liars. Because Jerusalem, for thousands of years, was one city, one unified city. Only for 19 years under the illegal occupation of the Jordanians. Love the train going by. Right? It was only for those 19 years when the Jordanians destroyed all the Jewish communities, expelled all the Jewish communities under their control, made it forbidden for any Jew to even enter those areas. A Jew was forbidden to enter the old city of Jerusalem, forbidden to get to the Temple Mount or Western Wall or even the old city. For 19 years, that was not natural. That was wrong. So the division of the city of Jerusalem was the unnatural, wrong reality, and it existed only for 19 years under an illegal Jordanian occupation. Right? It wasn't even recognized by the world as being illegal, by being legal. It was illegal. They illegally occupied half of Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. And yet today you have journalists and media personalities and politicians all saying that half of Jerusalem belongs to the Arab because it's Arab East Jerusalem and it's a divided city and it should be a divided city. They are ignorant fools or liars, and we can't listen to them. Jerusalem always has been, and from now on always will be, a united city where everyone, Jew, Christian, Arab, can all live peacefully together. And my prayer to God, please God, let us have leaders. Give us leadership, God, who will be able to have the guts to stand up for everyone's rights, for freedom of religion, freedom of life, and take care of the violent ones. People who are violent are ruining life for all the rest of us, Jews, Christians, and Arabs, and Muslims. It does nothing. You don't have sympathy for Arabs by defending those who use violence and terror. Those Arab Muslims who use violence and terror are ruining it for everybody, including their fellow Arab Muslims who do want to live peacefully in Israel together with the Jews, because they know how blessed they are to live in the Jewish state of Israel. So please, God, please give us leadership who will do what is necessary, who will set up a justice system that understands, have the police forces and army to implement policies to end the Arab-Muslim violence for good and punish them so that they know not only do they get no reward from doing it, that their lives are ruined if they use violence, because their violence is ruining it for everyone, including their Arab Muslim brethren who do want to enjoy the beautiful life of freedom and equality they have living in the Jewish state of Israel. So that's my prayer, and I'm doing my little role in trying to educate the masses to understand the really simple situation that unfortunately has become so complex to understand because of the massive amount of disinformation and misinformation that are put out there even by our own Jewish leaders, Israeli leaders, Jewish organizational leaders, rabbis, etc. It's up to me and you, us little people, to learn the truth, understand the truth, and preach the truth so that we wake up as many people as possible, so we can then be able to earn and merit the leadership to do what is right for all of us, and that is stopping the terror and violence and incitement of those Arab Muslims who are doing it, so that all the rest of us can live peacefully together. Guys, signing off from the beautiful center of Jerusalem. Hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, share the video. Shalom, everybody.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.